Good morning, philosophers. Rainy day here, so I think I'll probably do a lot of reading today, starting with morning think time, and then I'll probably get back to More Equal Animals later today. Let's continue. Deluded dunces and self-satisfied psychopaths. Trying to improve people's rating of themselves runs into numerous problems. One of the more pathetic of these arises when people who, objectively considered, perform poorly at some specific task are encouraged to view themselves as outstandingly good, and information about their poor performance is downplayed. In a recent study, 13-year-olds in 6 countries, the US, Britain, Canada, Ireland, Korea, and Spain, were given a standardized math test. In addition, they were asked to rate the statement, "I am good at mathematics." The Americans judged their ability the most highly, 68% agreed with the statement. But on the actual math test, the Americans came last. Some educators think that these two results were related. These poor to average students who felt buoyed by the fantasy that they were superbly confident were victims of the self-esteem curriculum, designed to make the kids feel good about themselves no matter what. High self-esteem can involve self-delusion. It's not true that people who feel good about themselves always perform better. It's a cruel deception to convey the impression that success comes easily if you have a positive attitude. Performing well is, in fact, closely related to high frustration tolerance, the ability to cope serenely with difficulties and setbacks. Outstanding accomplishments usually require immense dedication, continuous, painful investment of arduous effort over a long period of time. They also require some inborn talent, which is not equally distributed. One second, I'm highlighting a part of this for later thought, because that links to what I was thinking about for today, actually. It may be comparatively harmless for some people to go through life under the delusion that they're good at something when in fact they're not. However, if they derive self-esteem from this fantasy, they may be set up for a shattering disappointment if they ever decide to face reality. This isn't the only problem arising from high self-esteem. Many theorists have supposed that violent criminals suffer from low self-esteem and can be rehabilitated by having their self-esteem raised. But a careful review of the evidence by 3 psychologists, Roy Baumeister, Joseph Bowden, and Laura Smart, found that most violent people think very highly of themselves. Their unrealistically high self-evaluations predispose them to be violent. As these authors point out, treating rapists, spouse batterers, or murderers by trying to convince them that they are superior beings is pointless, since this is what such people already believe. Your successes aren't you, your failures aren't you. Jerry had difficulty seeing my point. What was wrong with feeling so good about being successful? Wouldn't I be better off if I could get back to the way I felt 6 months ago? Well, that option isn't available, I pointed out. If you could snap your fingers and start making money again, you would do so. There's nothing wrong with feeling good about being successful. What creates problems is to rate yourself highly when you are successful and to feel good only because you have given yourself a high rating. It would be better never to rate yourself, merely rate your specific behavior. That seems to make sense, he conceded, but it's not the way I think. But what does your thinking accomplish? Well, when I was successful, feeling pretty great. Feeling great about yourself. Feeling great about yourself. But you can still feel happy and content by feeling great about your accomplishments without dragging your total self into it. And then you wouldn't set yourself up for feeling like a worm when the real estate market crashes. Very interesting. So it's unwise to put myself up on a pedestal or, on the other hand, look down on myself. You know, I feel a little less depressed already just viewing it from that perspective. It's very different from how I'm used to thinking. Jerry's 3-minute exercise. Jerry was beginning to get the message. I explained the method of written 3-minute exercises, which he began to practice every day. Here is a typical one. A. Activating event. My business is losing money. B. Irrational belief. I must be making money or else I'm no good. C. Emotional consequences. Depression. D. Disputing. Why must I make a lot of money? How does it make me no good if I don't have a high income? E. Effective new thinking. No law of the universe states that I must make a lot of money. Reality is reality, independent of my views about it, so I may as well fully accept the vicissitudes of the real estate market, along with my own imperfections. I don't magically turn into a worm even if I lose all my money. It's not my disappointing income, but my own self-downing about it that makes me feel depressed. Likewise, it's not the success itself, but rather my view of it that makes me feel like a wonderful person. Success does not change my essence and make me good, just as failure doesn't change me into a wretched no-good. My goal in life is to enjoy myself, not to prove myself. F. New feeling. Concern and steady determination rather than intense anxiety or depression. A self-defeating syllogism. Jerry's case is a striking one in that he had changed inside a few months from high self-esteem to low self-esteem. But Jerry's thinking is commonplace. 1. I want to feel good. Nothing wrong with this. 2. To feel good, I have to feel good about myself. But this is a blunder. 3. Feeling good about myself means thinking that I am a worthy person. 4. I can prove to myself that I'm a worthy person by doing well at X, making money, passing my exams, keeping fit, attracting members of the opposite sex, being good in bed, keeping my family happy. 5. Oops, I've done badly at X, so now I'm worthless. I feel bad. Your income isn't you. Jerry's problem also illustrates a highly popular but erroneous belief. The belief that our money income measures our worth or our success in life. This false belief is a source of anxiety and depression to millions. Our money income represents only what other people choose to pay for the services we choose to supply them. It's not a judgment on our souls or on our dignity as human beings. There's nothing demeaning or insulting in having a low income. It's not even a final judgment on our abilities. Mozart died poor. If we can increase our money income, then we can afford more goods and services, enabling us to accomplish our aims more completely and perhaps lead to a fuller life. That's wonderful. But we may value our free time and our avoidance of pressures too highly to do what's required to raise our income beyond a certain point. In that case, it would be a foolish mistake to suppose that we have to pursue a higher money income as an end in itself. Running into trouble. Ned was a 46-year-old successful veterinarian with his own animal hospital. He consulted me for help with his marital discord, but toward the end of our first session, the discussion took a different tack. Quote, I may have discovered a way to feel better, to escape my usual depression. When my wife berates me or nags me, he volunteered unexpectedly. How's that? I queried. By running, Ned responded. I used to jog once in a while, but lately I've taken up running more seriously. I constantly jog at least 5 miles a day, and I've started running competitively. So now, when Kristen bugs me, I can ignore her. Running makes me feel better about myself, instead of down in the dumps from being nagged by Kristen. Jesus. I feel proud that I can discipline myself. And after a long, hard run or a good race, I feel really elated. So you consider yourself a better person for becoming self-disciplined and getting yourself in such terrific shape? And you think that if Kristen can't appreciate you, that's her tough luck? Exactly. But this is adding to your problem. Problem? Ned was taken aback. At least I haven't felt so rotten lately. Isn't that improving upon my problem? No. An alcoholic may feel better after a drink, but the drink doesn't necessarily improve his problem. You may in fact be making the problem worse. Since Ned was still somewhat baffled, I explained that he started out delighted at his newfound self-discipline and running ability. That delight was altogether appropriate. But then he mistakenly rated his total self as good because of his running. He was manufacturing and nurturing his elation by judging his whole self in terms of a few of his behaviors. All right, he said, so I've been rating my total self in terms of my running. So I've been elated and I've been pleased by my elation. I still don't see how that hurts me. It hurts you because it sets you up to feel hurt or depressed. You don't realize that it works as a double-edged sword. No, I guess I don't. Well, when you run well, you feel elated, but when you run or race badly, or Kristen criticizes you, you get depressed. That's right, I do get depressed then. But as long as you insist on rating yourself, you're turning yourself into an emotional yo-yo at the mercy of your latest performance. I think I see. I put myself up when I run well and consistently, but then I'm all the more inclined to put myself down when things go badly. Self-raters are born but can be unmade. We're all like Ned. We are born and raised to rate ourselves. Understandably, we have difficulty thinking in any other way. But there's an alternative. You can analyze how well you do without rating your total self. You can accept yourself no matter what, whether you do well, poorly, or don't do anything at all. You are never forced to judge yourself as great or as unworthy, to put yourself up or down. Self-rating is unnecessary, and it causes serious emotional and practical problems. 1. If you insist on rating yourself, your thinking becomes self-centered instead of problem-centered. If you don't rate yourself, but acknowledge there is a problem, it becomes easier to analyze that problem, and an agreeable solution may be found. Considering yourself a hopeless loser or a disgusting worm is not a problem that can be analyzed and tackled. It is a conviction that points in only one direction, endless preoccupation with what a hopeless loser or disgusting worm you are. This is simply not helpful. It doesn't prompt any constructive action. 2. If you rate yourself as good or bad, you tend to suppose that this is your unchanging essence, that if you did badly yesterday, you're likely to do badly today or tomorrow. You tend to become frozen in your own self-rating. Everyone has a great many good and bad traits. We're all imperfect, yet capable of improvement. But self-rating causes us to fasten on a few traits and then make an over-simple judgment about ourselves. This goes to that Stoic line where you don't have to be who you were yesterday. 3. A low self-rating makes you feel miserable, and a high self-rating sets you up for a poor self-rating whenever things go wrong. High and low self-ratings are not symmetrical. There's an inherent tendency for self-raters to move toward a low self-rating. Most human intentions don't work out quite as planned, and there's a natural tendency to focus on disappointments and shortcomings. 4. Self-rating leads you to compare yourself pointlessly to other people. Feelings of superiority and inferiority get in the way of pursuing your aims. If you rate yourself, you'll berate yourself. We all know people who continually criticize themselves. The attractive woman who continually apologizes for her imperfect appearance, or the man who comments about his own unreliability or lack of achievement. Part of the intention of making such remarks is to admit your faults to other people so they won't criticize you or will award you points for humility. But in practice, issuing these public confessions is often found irritating by other people, usually doesn't persuade other people that you're a better person, needlessly draws their attention to faults of yours which they might overlook, and most importantly of all, tends to reinforce your own picture of yourself as unworthy. This verbal self-downing is an obvious manifestation of low self-esteem. It's natural to suppose that it can be fought by techniques for raising self-esteem. But the best solution does not lie in learning how to squelch self-criticism or in practicing self-praise. While this may occasionally be useful, generally, raising self-esteem is counterproductive. It's better to uproot any amount of self-esteem, low or high. In other words, to stop self-rating. This is in contradiction to Ayn Rand's conception of self-esteem, where she would basically say you should strive to be a person of high self-esteem, and if you're rating yourself lowly because you're deficient in some area, well, you should suck it up and improve that area. But if you're, this guy's right in that if you're if you're deriving your rating from something that includes things that are totally out of your control, that's dangerous, right? Interesting. But yeah, let me back up to that thing, because this was kind of my thought for the day. Where is it? Excuse me. Performing well is in fact closely related to high frustration tolerance, the ability to cope serenely with difficulties and setbacks. Outstanding accomplishments usually require immense dedication, continuous, painful investment of arduous effort over a long period of time. I think that's useful specifically for me. Sometimes, especially when I'm learning new skills, I do not have a high enough frustration tolerance, which makes the whole thing more difficult. So today I'm going to think about that and see if there's a way I can make a plan to handle frustration better next time I'm working on something. All right, I almost said gentlemen, assuming there's no females watching this. Excuse me. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.